What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1033 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here once again with my returning co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Crisis averted.
Yeah.
I'm back. I hope that no one was panicking and having a meltdown while I was gone.
There was
I know you all
panicking.
missed me.
There was panicking.
Yeah.
There were meltdowns. That's okay.
I guess I should say now that the trip is over, I was in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, because that is the location of the Divine Mercy Shrine, because it was Divine Mercy Sunday. I don't know if we have any devotees in the chat, but if we do, they must be very excited right now.
Very good.
That's where I was. It was Coachella for Catholic people. I didn't realize that those overlapped on the same weekend
Is there
until
like
I was
an
already
event?
there.
There should be an event called Cathchella. Let's just.
Well, no, I'm sure you remember me attending the inaugural Catholic Palooza.
Ah, yes.
Don't you?
I do, and it's funny because you would
was a
think
time.
that Palooza would be out of fashion, but there's also a thing called Wrestle Palooza. That's a real thing.
Well, obviously they're trying to copy Lollapalooza and just put Catholic in the name, and a lot of people thought it was lame.
Were you one of those people?
I thought that the event was a really good idea that needed some more time to flourish and mature over time. But unfortunately, I think they've called it off officially. I don't think it is going to make a comeback, but I bet it would have been growing every year if they kept it going.
I mean, that's the hardest part, right? Is the consistency. You got to keep going.
I'm hearing every week there's a new slew of headlines about how the Catholic Church is exploding with Gen Z. And I'm sure that there is proof of that, but I wish that Catholic Palooza were still around,
Maybe they can bring it back. You can bring a festival back after it doesn't happen for a while. Now, they canceled wireless now that Kanye got, and that's been going on since like 2005.
Oh, yeah.
Canceled.
I know people really grieve for Warped Tour, and they try to make money off of that demographic of millennials with responsibilities and disposable income these days. They do one-time events and call it Warped Tour.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, tour is in the name, so you're kind of lying.
Warped
I don't
event
understand.
doesn't have the same ring to it.
Right. Why can't they tour? I just don't get why they can't tour if they're still sponsored by Vans.
Yeah.
They have the money. They know that the audience is out there. It would be an incredibly popular event if they just toured.
Well, it's like don't they do the emo cruises and stuff?
Yeah, they have those. Freaking, STD cesspits that those are. I don't want to go on an emo cruise. I also don't want to go on a cruise in general, ever.
Yeah, there's now anti-cruise propaganda that's pushed out there that I 100% believe. It just doesn't sound fun to me.
No, and the amount of horror stories that take place on these boats, you're literally stranded with a bunch of strangers, and it's terrifying. I did go on a cruise, but it was on a river, so it's worst comes to worst, I'm swimming to the shore in 2 seconds. I'm not going out into the middle of the Pacific with a bunch of people, in their retirement years, in their twilight years, absolutely going balls to the wall insane, with the debauchery.
Yeah. Worse than the retirement homes.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with that.
Fair
Keep
enough.
it at the retirement home. Keep it at the village.
We had a $20 super chat here from Shane H. Wilder. Got this in here early. Says, Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. Hollywood is at it again with Mother Mary. Anne Hathaway playing a singer dressed up as a scantily clad Our Lady of Sorrows. The writer and director used the line, I was raised Catholic. Rolls eyes.
Well, isn't that always the excuse, right? I get to be incredibly disrespectful to Catholics and the Catholic Church and this entire religion because I have religious trauma from going to Catholic school where they made us wear uniforms and the nuns would hit us with rulers. It's totally fake if you're Any younger than 50, probably.
Wait, is the nuns hitting people with rulers a figment of Hollywood imagination, or was that a real thing?
No, it happened. I'm sure it happened. Not in my experience, because first off, I went to Protestant schools when I was younger, and then in my Catholic high school, we didn't have any nuns as teachers. Like, they weren't around. But I bet there are plenty of boomers who do remember strict nuns at their Catholic schools. It's just not it's mostly a work of fiction at this point. If anybody like younger than 50 tells you that they grew up like that.
I do have to give a shout out to Moon at Noon, who was in the chat. I was informed after yesterday there has been much discussion about where Moon at Noon has been, and Moon at Noon was in the chat today, so we're glad to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys, but as always, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, share the video out with everybody that you know, that you like and that you dislike. The more people that you share the show with, the faster the channel can grow. I also want to let everybody know that if you are a PCC channel member on YouTube, I put up a brand new episode talking all things Marvel and Hollywood with Valiant Renegade, who we've had on the channel before. I put that up last night. You get early access to that. It will be going live for everybody who watches PCC on YouTube on Saturday night at 7 p.m., but you will get early access to that now. And as always, it's a lot of fun to talk to him because he just knows so much about so many different things, and talking.
He's good at the maths and the numbers.
He gets into the numbers. I'm like, bro, I don't know what any of this stuff means. Carry the two, all these things. It's fantastic. We got into the most recent article talking about Marvel layoffs that have just happened. We talked about the bloated and like ridiculous budget for Avengers Doomsday. We talked a little bit about the decline of Hollywood as jobs get shipped overseas. They took our gerbs. And then we talked a little bit about the Paramount, pushback that is going on with 1,000, now 2,000 different celebrities saying we don't want to work with Paramount, to which I can only hope that they are petty enough to not work with any of them, but I don't think that that's what's going to happen. But he always has fantastic insights, and if you are a channel member, you can both use all of the emojis, and you can go and watch that video after this episode because it's up there early for you guys to watch. So what are we getting into today? We got a lot of stuff to discuss. We're going to talk about Clavicular. This was a big story that was going around last night after we went off the air because, what do you do when you're a looks-maxing, drug-doing streamer? You overdose on a stream, apparently, which is what happened. He overdosed while out and about trying to be neurotypical, or at least that's what I read. He was trying to be neurotypical and overdid it a little bit. So we'll get into all of the stuff there. There's also some general discussion, I suppose, to be had about what the positives are for society of the looks-maxers.
Society, bro.
Of the looks-maxers.
Society.
We will also get into more to do, much to do about nothing, much ado about Lena Dunham. We did talk yesterday about the general story about her tumultuous relationship with Adam Driver, which we got into a little bit, but there's more to talk about. She's getting it because, remember, like I said yesterday, she's got a book coming out because all women have the popular when you're young to tell-all book pipeline. I usually think of it more as like a 90s or 2000s Playboy Playmate to book pipeline, but in this case is different.
I have to give her some credit. She wrote her first memoir a long time ago. Her first memoir came out in 2014 when she was still kind of hot.
And the show would have been like, Girls wasn't off the air, or was off the air at that point, would have still been on, right? I don't know when Girls went off the air.
I don't remember when it ended, but it wasn't that far off. So, she actually broke a glass ceiling there. Like, I'm going to write a memoir while people still care who I am. Like, that's awesome.
So we're going to talk about some more stuff to do with her. Also, Alex Cooper. The Alexes are fighting. Alex Cooper and Alex Earl. They spell their names differently.
We're going to exaggerate how we pronounce their names. So I'm going to be calling Alex Cooper Alex, and I'm going to be calling Alex Earl Aleeks.
Aleeks, okay.
Yeah, that'll make everything a lot easier.
We got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. Are you ready? Actually, you know what? Before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, I was about to ask if you were ready to go. Let's actually, before we get started, I want to talk quickly about Rumble Wallet, which we do want to talk to you guys about. If you have ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stable coins, USAT, or even gold-backed stable coins, but felt like it was too complicated, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. You can buy, sell, and manage your own cryptocurrencies all in one place, and the app is super straightforward. That's why you can use Rumble Wallet right on the Rumble platform. What really makes Rumble Wallet unique is that you can use it to tip your favorite creators like me and support the Freedom First community we have built here, like us, right? Which actually we did get our first actual tip via Rumble Wallet just the other day, so that did just recently happen. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign up with your existing Rumble account. No need for a new login, which would save me a ton of time, ladies and gentlemen. Complete a few security steps in your setup in minutes. You can start with just a few dollars, and with MoonPay built into Rumble Wallet, you can easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or bank wire. So if you've been thinking about the advantages of crypto, download Rumble Wallet now. Click on the link in the description of this video or search Rumble Wallet in the App Store. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets to where they belong, in your hands and in your control. And remember that Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only, not a custodial service. See terms at wallet.rumble.com. And as always, I do want to thank Rumble Wallet for sponsoring this episode of PCC. Thank you so much. All right. Are you ready to get started?
I am ready.
Let's go for it then. In fact, we've got a twofer for the intro topics today. They kind of dovetail into one another.
Yes. So I am back in town, which of course means we're going to trash Sam Levinson. It's one of my favorite pastimes. And Euphoria Season 3 just premiered on April 12th, at least like most HBO shows, the first episode. They're releasing it in parts. And people are already shocked and horrified at the material that is included in this season. It's more risque than the last two, which a lot of people didn't even think possible. And here are some of the predictions that did come true. Cassie's first scene in Euphoria Season 3 shows her trying to become a social media famous influencer while dressed in a dog outfit drinking from a dog bowl. And she is here in the, BDSM dog costume. That is a real costume that they used in the show, but that photo is actually AI generated. Yep. You should know. And they did not even go to the effort of cropping out the watermark that they used in the AI app. But it is a real scene, and the storyline goes that she's planning her dream wedding with Nate, who she stole from her best friend in high school. And she ended up winning the guy, but she doesn't want to have a ghetto wedding. And she's insisting to Nate that she needs to walk down the aisle amidst $50,000 worth of floral arrangements. But he can't afford that. He's just a normal blue-collar guy. So
Not
she decides she's going to make the money herself. She says, I'm going to join OnlyFans so that I can pay for my dream wedding because you can't. Otherwise, I'm not getting married because I didn't wait my whole life to have a ghetto wedding. So Nate eventually relents. He is disapproving of her decision to go on OnlyFans, and he, in several scenes, calls her a prostitute, says she's selling her body for flowers, and this is ridiculous, but he relents and lets her do her thing. So that's Sydney Sweeney's role in the show. And then there's a brief showing of Hunter Schafer's character, Jules, who goes to New York City and becomes a sugar baby. So we've just got lots of prostitution going on in the show. And a lot of people are going to be disgusted by that.
I mean, to be fair, wouldn't it be weird if just like there's just one storyline where somebody's out to become like a preschool teacher and it has nothing to do with any of the other stuff? There's just like one person who wants to be disgustingly normal of the lot.
The most normal storyline for one of the characters, I believe, is played by who is this? Judd Apatow's daughter. She ends up being a production assistant on a soap opera produced by Warner Brothers. So there's a little bit breaking the fourth wall there. And then there's another prediction that there will be multiple offensive slurs said in upcoming episodes of the third season that will not sit well with viewers. So we're just waiting for the scene where Sydney Sweeney's character says the N-word. And everyone is a sex worker. And
Do you really think
I have no idea what any of this is even about.
I don't think that that's what it's going to be. I don't think they're going to have her saying the N-word.
No, but we'll find out, I guess.
Whatever it will be will not actually be that edgy because it's 2026 and it's just not that edgy.
This screen cap from the trailer that they released is getting a lot of attention. It shows Sydney's character, Cassie, looking like she's getting raped, to be totally honest. That's what everyone thought. And a lot of the responses are saying, like, I don't like Sydney Sweeney. I don't like the character she plays, but we definitely don't want to see a graphic scene where she is being violated, which is what appears to be on screen.
Is it just me, or is it weird that they feel like they have to preface the statement? Like, look, okay,
no,
I don't like Sydney Sweeney much, but this is a little too far. Like, I don't think you need to preface by like, I don't think anybody's going to think less of you because you think it's wrong that Sydney Sweeney's character is being abused. That's just a normal reaction, whether it's a person you like or not.
Well, we knew about the OnlyFans plotline a while back. That was already leaked well before the season premiered, but we didn't know that Sam Levinson was going to take it as far as he did. And as we can see in a screen cap from the last trailer they released before the 12th, you have Sydney Sweeney dressed up as an adult baby.
I'm not putting it on screen. So I was looking through a bunch of people talking about this, and basically there was whole YouTube commentary circles basically saying, like, I don't know how to cover this. I don't know what we can show. It's disturbing, and giving it any screen time is probably wrong for a myriad of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that it'll probably get your channel taken down. But on moral reasons, there's a good reason, there's a good choice in not showing it.
Yeah, we might as well just not bother, but she's wearing a pacifier. She's got, pigtails. She's wearing what appears to be an adult diaper and is spreading her legs open on a couch. And this is something that she's supposedly doing in the show as a stunt for her OnlyFans promotion. I'm not surprised that this was featured in the show at all, but it is quite ironic that this is allowed on mainstream streaming platforms and not our YouTube channel, which is dedicated to covering pop culture.
Well, no, because look, one of them is paywalled technically. Like you have to pay to have it, and there are I don't know what TOS regulations are in place there, but you can put the parental controls on there. It's just obviously very different with the way it's enforced on YouTube. I guess mainly more than anything is that they don't have to worry about being advertiser friendly. Because the point is to get you to pay for the subscription, not necessarily. Actually, if there was smart out there, somebody would be funny. I don't know if Amazon. Can somebody let me know? Does HBO Max have like an ad tier? And if they do, like there should be skits being made about like the person who works at Warner Brothers trying to sell ad space for Euphoria and seeing what companies are like, you know what? Okay.
Like, is Big Pharma okay with this? What's going on? Are we like gonna see, this scene and then like an ad for the Swiffer like jet mop or something? Like,
well, that's the thing, right? It's like the ads. So I saw somebody had a tweet the other day that said, "I wish that you could age specify your ads." Like they remember watching children's cartoons when they were a kid, and they got nothing but ads for kids, right? Because they advertised toys for them. They're like, I don't want to see ads for like antidepressants and cleaning supplies. Give me some ads with whimsy.
Yeah, that was a different time. I don't think this even needs to be said, but I have to say that this is obviously, pedophilic in nature and grosses me out. I'm definitely side-eyeing Sydney Sweeney for even agreeing to do this. It's not that, you just have to do it because it's your job. Like, they've even said in the past, I forget which actor this was, but on the cast, they said, like, there were definitely some scenes in the show where, like, this character did not need to have nudity showing, and I had to push back on it because Sam Levinson, just takes it so over the top.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this is a moment where, like, I would definitely say you draw the line. You have to draw the line, but she didn't. And I have very little respect for that decision. Weird all around. There's another scene where Rue, Zendaya's character, is working as a drug mule. And it's incredibly graphic, the way that they film this. She is trying to swallow all of these plastic bags of drugs and shoving them down her throat. There's also Chloe Cherry doing the same thing in the show. And they're like just gagging, and there's lots of, you know, mouth sounds and shoving their fingers down their throats, and it's just like saliva.
I'll give you
stringing
some
saliva everywhere.
I'll
and
give
everyone
you
is
some
just
context.
saying, like, this is like, obviously, like, this happens, okay, if you're a drug mule, but portraying it this way is fetishistic, especially with the context of who Sam Levinson is and his track record. Like, this is also a scene that features an actual real life porn star doing this. It is pornographic. It is weird and fetishistic. I agree with the people who are saying that.
Maybe it's a gendered thing. So the very first scene in the show The Shield, which is a fantastic show that was on FX back in the day, and at that time period, they were basically trying their hardest to push the limits on what would be acceptable on cable television, like what would advertisers still be willing to be associated with. And the very first scene in the show is the crash team chases down a drug dealer and basically get him just after he swallowed an entire thing, you know, an entire condom of drugs, and he just punches the dude in the gut to get him to cough it up, and then pulls his pants off and then rips all of the bags that are attached to his junk. And it's done in like an alley in plain view of like people watching from balconies. And, you know, and he punches the dude, makes him spit up all the drugs that he just swallowed, and then, which could theoretically, like if he had swallowed it any earlier, they could rupture in his stomach from doing that, and then grabs them off him, and they basically show it and then walk away.
Well, do you mean to suggest that it's only being seen as fetishistic because it's female characters?
Partially that, and to say that this isn't really anything new. Obviously, what they showed there was a little bit probably maybe a little bit less intense, but was still done. We're talking about over a decade difference in time, 2 decades of when they were doing that. So maybe it is that this type of, not outrage, but this type of kind of pearl clutching is a bit circular, and we just kind of always find our way back to it. But this is generally the type of content that I don't like. I did like The Shield, but that might be grandfathered into a time when I enjoyed it, whereas if I was watching it for the first time now, perhaps I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's pearl clutching. I have to be honest. I think that people are right to object to this being shown in a mainstream television show.
Well, I guess my other point is to say that one was on cable and one is now paywalled. It would make more sense given the fact that at that time, back in 2008 or whenever that show came out, it was in the early 2000s, you would have been more likely to see something like that on Showtime or HBO, like perhaps with The Wire, as opposed to seeing it on cable. So maybe at the very least you could say that the kids can't get it unless their parents aren't paying attention and have a subscription to HBO Max.
There's also this bizarre scene that I saw a lot of people circulating on X. We're not going to show it anyway, but I'll just explain. Where Sydney Sweeney, she's in the dog costume and arguing with Nate about what she's doing to get famous on OnlyFans. He's saying, you know, you're a prostitute. This is insane. She's like, I am not a prostitute. And I have to say, unrelated from any of the plot or the dialogue, it is quite obvious that they filmed the scene with them not in the same room.
Think so?
Because they never show them
There's no
together in the
two-shot?
room. Yeah, but then there is a scene like later on where he's pulling the leash that she's wearing.
I mean, it is possible that that could just be poor editing. Like there is a way now. They have advanced technologically enough where they can put them in the same room at the same time, even if they're not.
And then someone said, if I had $1 for every female character who agreed to be Jacob Elordi's dog in 2026, I'd have $2, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice. And I saw a couple of people defending Sam Levinson, incredibly. Adam Lehrer said, I've seen this take everywhere, so I'll just say it. Sam Levinson is one of the 2 or 3 best auteurs working in television. He's also clearly right-wing sympathetic, as evidenced by the myriad dog whistles contained within his shows.
What?
This is essentially the woke right inversion of the progressive critics we used to see. The ostensible moral violations levied against artists now adopt conservative rhetoric, but function the same way as arbitrary moral preening masquerading as art criticism.
Nobody that isn't terminally online knows what woke right means.
I would love a more detailed explanation of how there are supposedly a bunch of right-wing dog whistles in Euphoria, but I do not have the energy to sit through this season to find out. And I want to mention one actress who did not participate in this humiliation ritual. Her name is Barbie Ferreira, and she was featured in the first 2 seasons. She was not a very interesting character, I'll give her that. But she eventually walked away from the show, apparently because she felt her character wasn't going anywhere. She said, it wasn't dramatic. I don't need to be on the biggest TV show on earth if I'm not acting. I would rather do an indie movie where I'm flexing my muscles, being creatively asked to do things. And I'm sure she missed the memo where, in order to be a big star in Euphoria, you have to get naked. That's and that's actually art. But good for her. I congratulate her on not being involved in this hot mess. It's really disgusting, and even liberals are grossed out by it, which is saying something.
All right.
But we have to get into some of the drama between Euphoria castmates. Incredibly, I was unaware of the real explanation between Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney's alleged feud. It's not political, it's much more personal, according to inside sources. This is related to Sydney Sweeney's flirtations with Zendaya's supposed husband, Tom Holland. I didn't know she has refused to confirm the wedding.
She has basically made the comments that the parasocial nature of the internet makes it kind of like she just doesn't want. I understand it, 110%.
I totally respect that Zendaya and Tom Holland are fiercely protective of their privacy and their private lives, but Law Roach already let the cat out of the bag. He said that they got married.
It would be more of a problem if they really leaned into their relationship as like career crutches for both of them as like a couple, but they don't. They kind of have independent careers and just happen to be dating. It would be really weird form of feminism if like they dated but she wasn't willing to confirm that they were married. But since they don't lean into their relationship in that way, I think that this is just a sign of two extremely private people wanting that last little bit of privacy to remain theirs.
Yeah, which I think is cool. There was this video from the season 3 premiere where Zendaya is shown warmly greeting one of her co-stars, Hunter Schafer, and hugging her on the carpet, and completely ignoring Sydney Sweeney, who stands just right there in frame in the background. And this was adding fuel to the fire of people claiming that Zendaya was refusing to be in the same room as Sydney Sweeney. They're claiming that it's because of the American Eagle ad and Sydney Sweeney's political views, which she's so outspoken about, right?
This is a white pill. I'm sorry, but this is a huge white pill. The idea that it would have nothing to do with some weird, like, right-wing dog whistle ad, which of course it wasn't, or politics, and what it really was, which is just, I don't want you anywhere near my mans, which is like the most human thing I can think of.
And it's not just Sydney Sweeney that Zendaya is avoiding. She also wants nothing to do with Jacob Elordi after the conclusion of the series and the promotion, because a lot of people don't know this, but she did briefly date Jacob Elordi in order to allegedly make Tom Holland jealous.
I read
and
that
it worked.
somewhere. We have a $20 super chat here from Katie. It says, it frustrates me when Tim Pool talks about no one having babies, but doesn't mention that abortion is legal in the West. Ban abortion in the West to allow babies to be born. Well, those are kind of like two relatively separate conversations, because the whole point would be that I'm guessing, not knowing like how to what the premise of this, because it seems like you're kind of doing an all-encompassing thing about his discussions, would be that people don't want to have them, and that's a different discussion than whether they would be forced to have them.
I would agree with you, Katie, in principle, but the main problem with the plummeting fertility rate is people not choosing to get pregnant in the first place.
Yeah.
Not really. Can't really chalk that up to abortion. But anyway, this headline just made me laugh. Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney feud sets social media alight. Euphoria fans go wild as video shows duo's frosty red carpet snub after MAGA Barbie flirted with co-star's husband Tom Holland and political clashes. But it turns out it has nothing to do with politics, and I didn't see it as a white pill at first, but I see what you're saying, Brett.
It's a return to form. It's a return to normality, which is that you're freaking weird if you end a friendship over politics. You're completely normal in 2020, or at least you would have been completely normal throughout all of human history if you were a woman who ended a friendship because a girl looked at your boyfriend sideways.
Right, yeah.
Totally normal.
Leading lady Zendaya is feuding with Sydney Sweeney ahead of the season 3 premiere. A source exclusively reveals that Tom Holland is one of the castmates' points of contention. Zendaya wasn't thrilled when Tom and Sydney would strike up conversations during filming last year.
I bet.
It feels unnecessary at best and disrespectful at worst, given that Sydney and Zendaya don't get along and actively avoid each other.
I love the unnecessary part. Is the idea that she like gets back from filming her scene. Also, to whoever said normalcy in the chat, no, stop saying normalcy. Normality is the word that we need to bring back. But like, does she get back from filming her scene? She's like, what do you ask? What are you talking to her for? What, is she giving you stock tips? Like,
it's funny that she would forfeit the networking relationship too, because Sydney Sweeney is clearly becoming more and more powerful in the industry.
Yeah.
But they continue mentioning that Tom Holland was a frequent visitor to the Euphoria set before shooting wrapped in November. Tom is naturally very friendly and chatty, so when he's around, he makes an effort with everyone.
Of course.
That's just who he is. Zendaya isn't trying to tell him who he can talk to, but with Sydney, she doesn't want someone who she doesn't necessarily trust getting close to her fiance. And then they talk about how they'll be obligated to promo together. The source suggests that Sydney Sweeney should keep her distance from Tom Holland. In so many words, Zendaya has warned Sydney to stay away from Tom. Even though Zendaya trusts Tom completely, she doesn't want any lines blurred. It's about boundaries. It's the Mike Pence rule.
The funniest version of this is like she gets hired on for the next Marvel movie, like with both of them.
That would be sick.
And Zendaya, and no, the thing is though, is Zendaya is important, like on Euphoria and in most of her movies, but she's not as important as Tom Holland would be on the set of a Spider-Man movie. So what she would then is she'd be like, oh, you're not gonna tell them no? You're not gonna tell Sony that we can't have her in the movie?
You're not gonna throw your weight around?
I see how it is.
Yeah. This doesn't just stem from alleged flirtations on set, but there are screenshots going around from back in 2021 of Sydney Sweeney liking thirst tweets about Tom Holland. This one shows a couple screenshots of him saying, okay, but Tom Holland is so damn fine. And that was back when likes were public. I guess
it'll get you.
I'll say, it's a very male-brained thing to publicly like a thirst trap on social media. Sydney Sweeney really is one of the guys for this one. Like, I don't know why men do this, but you see like married fathers with their whole government name out here commenting on thirst traps on Instagram and TikTok.
I saw one yesterday.
No clue that people can see that.
I saw one yesterday that was like, my grandpa's out here hitting on advertisements.
For real. and they have no clue. But I don't know if this screenshot is like actually real. It could easily be doctored, but this person says, saved on my phone, I have this from 2021. There are more if you search Sydney Sweeney, Tom Holland tweets on Google. There's also her making a flirty little joke about Spider-Man saving the day on set. I'm assuming that was from when she was doing promo for Madam Web. Yeah.
Oh my God, I never even thought about the fact that she's like, oh, now she's trying to be in Madam Web because she joined Sony. She didn't go over to traditional Marvel. She got a Sony Marvel role. No. This bitch is trying to get with my man. That's what she's saying.
And Zendaya cannot stand Jacob Elordi either. They say season 3 of Euphoria kept its leads siloed unto themselves as humanly possible because the storylines of all of these different castmates don't cross over substantially. It says Elordi, Sweeney, and Zendaya are going to have some kind of peace, even a temporary one, because promoting the series is much more powerful if they do appearances as a group. But time isn't on their side. These 3 are the most heavily scheduled actors in Hollywood. And they mention the upcoming wedding at the time for Zendaya and Tom Holland and back-to-back movie projects. There's not a time where they could get together and properly hash things out if the trio even wants to. They all need to grow up and put aside their petty differences, but they're not, and it's really hard to see how they're going to get there. As for Zendaya in particular, she doesn't care if she has a working relationship with Jacob Elordi or Sydney Sweeney going forward. She's ready to wash her hands of both of them completely.
Do you think like this is one of those things where Tom Holland has to like keep a straight face whenever she's on screen, like anytime he sees her, because he knows that Zendaya is watching him like a hawk and like making sure she's like, oh, okay.
I have faith that Zendaya and Tom Holland are in it for the long haul and that their relationship is going to last because they don't approach it the way that most Hollywood couples do, where they have basically an open arrangement. Like all of these people do sex scenes with other actors. They, also like openly flirt with and cheat on their spouses. They don't care about boundaries. And it is kind of relatable in a weird way that Zendaya allegedly, has normal feelings of jealousy when it comes to her husband. I think that is a good sign.
Maybe she's also like, why don't you ever get mad when I'm doing a scene with Timothée Chalamet? And he's like, I got nothing to worry about.
I still fail to see how they changed Shawnee for the movies. Like people say it's so different from the books version of that character, but
I mean, I think it's funnier to think about like Tom Holland, because actually now that if you really think about it, him and Timothée Chalamet are very much similar. They're kind of coded the same way. They've separated themselves.
They're scrawny white men.
I have a list on my phone right now, like a growing list on my phone of like these 2 actors are the same person. I don't make the rules, which is like they don't necessarily look alike, but they're the same. So examples would be Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Gosling. They're the same. As far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much the same thing in Hollywood. Maybe Ryan Gosling has done pretty good in the last couple of years to separate himself more. But for a long time, I would have used their names interchangeably. The same is true of like Margot Martindale and Cameron Manheim. And you don't have to know who they are. They're just 2 actresses that are they're on the older side now, and they were a little bit bigger. Therefore, they're the same person, even if they don't look alike.
I have one for Piper Perabo and Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, I mean they even kind of look alike. They both have longer faces.
Yes.
Yeah,
something about the way they smile. It just strikes me like they're the same person.
Kind of the same.
Also, I mean, maybe people are gonna disagree with me on this, but I just watched Regretting You, which is based on one of the Colleen Hoover novels. Okay. I watched it on the plane because watching movies on the plane is one of my favorite things ever. And that is McKenna Grace in that movie. And I realized McKenna Grace is the Gen Z Kristen Stewart.
In what way?
See what I'm saying? Like they look alike and they just have the same like especially in the movie that I watched, she's playing like the awkward teenage girl.
Okay, I haven't seen enough. Like when I think of McKenna Grace, I think of Ghostbusters Afterlife. I don't know what she looks.
She
like
looks
now.
very different.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like obviously,
It.
she probably looks different, but yeah.
Very.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today. What would you like to see, the cringe or the cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first. I just want to preface this by saying I totally support this man. It was just cringe because this is like the millennial pause on steroids. It's the boomer pause.
The thing is, though, is we don't just have the millennial pause now. We also have the Gen Z stare. So when you put them together, maybe that's what creates the boomer one. Here we go.
Food giant in Hueytown. Specials up, prices down.
This guy's a genius. This guy could be an actor. He's waiting for his cue to start, and he's a consummate professional.
Here's Barry!
Good morning, food giant shoppers. Good morning, America, and good morning to the world. Jack White has done it again. Thanks for the great intro. This morning we've got sirloin tip roast for only $5.99 a pound. That's a savings of $2.50 a pound. So get on out to Food Giant in Hueytown today. As always, thanks for shopping Food Giant. Have a great day, and most importantly, God bless.
First of all, this guy hit his mark on the first go, and they gave him the professional lead-in right there. That was amazing. Okay, you know what it is? He would have had a future. Some of my favorite things in the world are the very low budget, unhinged used car commercials from local from local markets, where it's like just some local celebrity. Maybe he played pro football. Maybe he was maybe he played. Maybe he was like the best player in high school, and he went on to own a car dealership, and now he does local commercials that only appear on like local stations. That's my favorite thing, and this guy's right in that same. He's in the same view.
Yes, he's an icon.
The hat doesn't fit him very well.
Is the moment. Love the hat.
Doesn't really fit him very well.
This is amazing.
All right, let's do cute of the day. This one is from Breezy Lou. My daughters would get a kick out of having their cats on YouTube. Here is Princess and Toby, the smartest orange cats that I know. Well, and they look like they like each other, and that's always a good thing.
They're surprisingly chill for orange cats. Very cute.
That one looks very happy. I don't know which one this is right there, but
at first I just thought it was a really large cat at first. Like it looks like Siamese twin cats.
I like it. All right.
Very cute.
And remember, guys, as always, you can submit your pets to Cute of the Day. I just added a couple to the queue. Use the hashtag PCCPets on X, and I will get them featured in there. All right, let's talk about Clavicular.
Yes, we are talking about Clavicular again, and unfortunately, it's not really a funny story. It's quite dark. Last night, people heard news that Clavicular suffered an overdose and was hospitalized as a result. And worst of all, the overdose took place in real time on a live stream, because obviously he's live streaming every moment of the day. And he was with his friends at the time, who did not seem to take the situation seriously at all, because they don't care about him as a person and are merely using him for money and clout. And TMZ, as always, obtained the 911 dispatch audio. I have no idea how TMZ always gets this stuff first.
This is why TMZ is going to do gangbusters in DC, because they are just going to grease the palms of literally everybody, and they're going to get all the dirt.
But they got this from the Miami-Dade EMS dispatcher calling in a 20-year-old male overdose, and this took place at a restaurant inside a mall. They say, though, it was just moments before, on the same stream, he was seen drinking something from a mini bottle before entering the restaurant. And a lot of people are saying that it was GHB. Do we have audio on this?
Yes, if you want to play the audio.
We should play this with audio, and they take the camera off of him eventually, but you're seeing the reactions of his friends here. This is androgenic.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god.
Yo, you want an Addy? Yo.
want an Addy?
Yeah, without it.
You want an Addy?
Alright.
Audio cuts there. All right. No audio after that, yeah.
So Androgenic, the weirdo in a toupee to his left, is just repeatedly asking him if he wants an Addy. Like, he asks Clav, like, do you want an Addy, like 12 times while he is literally having a seizure as a result of whatever it was that he ingested before walking in the restaurant. You can see this mini bottle. He was being a little bit secretive about what he was drinking, and people are saying it was possibly GHB, possibly a mix of both GHB and alcohol, which can really do a number on somebody. A lot of people thought that this was related to his recreational meth use, but it appears it was whatever he drank from that bottle on stream. Just moments
it's
before.
likely because he's taking a cocktail of stuff all the time, and his heart is working in overdrive to keep him going.
Yeah, and I mean, thankfully, at 20 years old, you're much more likely to survive and bounce back from situations like this. But as you get older, especially like your late 20s, early 30s, that's the danger zone for reckless behavior like this. And it's no better that he is surrounded by a bunch of clout goblins who couldn't care less about him as a person. A lot of people, reflected the same take in the replies. Bridget Fedesi said, this poor kid is going to die because everyone around him is more interested in making money off of him than getting him help. Another one said his overdose was streamed live up until the point of total incoherence as his quote-unquote friends offer him more drugs to counteract whatever he took.
That's likely what the point of it was to if they feel like he's crashing, that it's going to spike him back up, which is as somebody who made a lot of bad choices in life, just you need to reevaluate. Like everything that he was doing there, you could even see it after they took the camera off him, the way that he was like bent over. I've been there. It's absolutely terrifying. And the fact that he's not going to rethink his life choices, because he's not. He's too young to rethink it. He's how old? He's in his early
20.
Yeah, like he's too young. He's making too much money. He's not going to rethink his life choices. And the people, I did disagree with a portion online where somebody said that he's going to die on stream and it's going to be the fault of his audience. Circus clowns have existed for a very long time, and drug addicts are all too common, and it would be his own fault for succumbing to his own bad choices. That does not make the people who watch him not, creepy for being okay with watching somebody go through something like this, as opposed to maybe somebody who wants to talk about it after the fact in which they're criticizing him. But he needs to make better choices. And the problem I have with most of it is, like, if this was just a dude who was posting online where he goes and he hangs out and he takes a bunch of meth and he takes a bunch of Adderall and he mixes it with GHB and opiates, and he's basically a circus act for people to watch, it's really, really ghoulish. But that's not really the problem I have with it. Ghoulish people have existed, especially in the streaming space, for a very long time. Johnny Somali just got a 6-month sentence.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like people are trying to elevate this dude as like a thought leader in the culture. He did this thing, and I did send it to you. I don't know if you saw this, where he's talking about how, he has no regard for his own happiness, and men are not supposed to be happy. Life is hard. Work isn't enjoyable. The gym isn't enjoyable, but it needs to be done. If you want to succeed to the highest level, you can't prioritize being happy. So he's a thought leader, but the thing is you have to also pay attention to the person who delivers you the message, the information that you take to heart. I'd also disagree, because I don't think it's about men being happy. I think it's about contentment, and men are not designed to find contentment in society. Of that, I would maybe agree with a portion of it too. But the point is it's a non-starter. This isn't where you should be going to for wisdom. And that's the real problem, he's a circus act. He's not a purveyor of knowledge.
Well, that's right. But even with the people who don't elevate him as a thought leader, there are the people who observe and write about him endlessly. I mean, the amount of just repetitive think pieces published in every mainstream outlet about looks maxing and clavicular. And they're all saying the same stuff. And it boils down to the take that, you know, claims clavicular is holding up a mirror to society, and he represents this convergence of ideas that are, you know, Gen Z has imbibed through social media and blah, blah, blah.
I'm so
And
sick
he's-
of think pieces, and I'm so sick of discourse.
yeah, he is a discourse generator
I
more
don't
than
care.
he is a thought leader.
Like-
He's not really coming up with a lot of original ideas. He's just generating sort of a recursive loop.
Let me actually allow him to be that for me and shine the mirror back on myself for a second, which is that I would never advise anybody, like when we do this show, I share my opinions on things, but I don't want people to necessarily look at my opinions on things as some type of, I am not some type of advocate for the world, right? I have my own opinions, you have yours. I don't know whether you care about what I have to say or not. It's not really the point. But I definitely would have never wanted you to take my opinions when I was constantly like living a maladapted life. When I was using substances, when I was a mess, that's the last time you should be looking at anybody as some type of thought leader or even a discussion of discourse. Because some people are having that talk, right, about whether he's a mirror to society. I think that's a bit over the top. But he's definitely not somebody that you should be taking advice from at this stage in his life. That doesn't mean that he couldn't, you know, come out the other side, make a ton of changes, and become somebody that you can take advice from. Right?
Sure.
Like, people can make changes and evolve into better versions of themselves. That's actually kind of what I think the most charitable definition of this would be for a lot of people. Is like they want to see this dude grow to be more than what he is now.
Sure, and as of now, you know, it just the reality is this situation is really sad to watch. Unless you're one of his daily viewers who's like watching these streams for 8 hours at a time and you don't even view him as a human being.
They don't.
A lot of people suspected that when he was hospitalized, he would have been held for 72 hours as a psych hold because he's engaging in self-harming behaviors.
Not
but
necessarily.
it actually turned out that he left the hospital early and posted a selfie afterwards saying, just got home. That was brutal. All of the substances are just a cope trying to feel neurotypical while being in public. But obviously that isn't a real solution. The worst part of tonight was my face descending from the life support mask. And he doesn't mean like his face actually like falling down. He means he's less attractive because the life support mask left some scabbing on his face, as you can see in the photo. So he's not taking it seriously at all, and very few of his loyal fans are taking it seriously either, even though this should be a wake-up call for people who buy into this ideology or lifestyle.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, thank you.
How can he hold up a mirror to society when most of society is neurotypical and he is apparently not neurotypical?
Yeah, that was a bizarre detail to mention. I don't know if he is diagnosed with autism or something, but that's his claim, is that he's taking all of these drugs so that he can feel normal or pretend to be normal, like masking his autistic symptoms in public when he's on stream. Someone did reply to him and say, you know, just be your autistic self. It's fine. Who gives a fuck what people think of you? And he responded to them saying, you know, that would be good advice, but I'm a streamer, so I can't really take your advice. Because he's a performer. He knows that he's constantly performing. And this was just after he stormed off of a 60 Minutes interview where they were asking him about his ties to the incel label and the manosphere and the people that he hangs out with, like Andrew Tate, and all these controversies. Why do you spend time with controversial people? Why do you associate yourself? And he storms off of this interview But before that, says to the interviewer, throwing shade at Piers Morgan, he says, "I guess you watched the Piers interview. Too bad I didn't have time to look into anything about, you know, who your wife cheated with." To which the interviewer says, "I'm not married, Clav." And Clavicular says, "So I could teach you about looks maxing, and then maybe you could switch that up. Thanks for the time. Appreciate the interview." And then he just gets up and leaves out of nowhere. Lasted about 2 minutes. And then all of these women came to comment on the interview, saying that the journalist mogs Clav, that he's more attractive than Clav.
Well, looksmax.org disagrees and says, why do women lie like this?
Yeah, looksmax.org put them in a side-by-side comparison to show just how much Clav mogs the journalist. And there's another screenshot that's quite unflattering of Clavicular looking like he's getting mogged by this random middle-aged Australian reporter. If anything, the reason why he's getting mogged is because this reporter appears to, you know, have an actual personality or, you know, outlook on the world, and Clavicular doesn't. He doesn't seem to have any core self or core ideology. He just cares about looks maxing, and I think people are getting their wires crossed.
How old is the journal? It's like they're not even. It's not even the same discussion. I did laugh at the person who was like, "Funny how you took like the worst screenshot of Clavicular and the best screenshot of the journalist," and that is true. That is a tactic that gets used, but the real debate should be about the fact that he walked out and he couldn't sit with the questions.
Right, and if anything, that means you were like mogged, like in a way that has nothing to do with your attractiveness. It's like he kind of won that interaction. But you know, people are getting their wires crossed because Clavicular gets mentioned in the same sentence as people who have basically nothing in common with him, and that includes Brian Johnson.
Yeah, the guy who wants to live forever.
He's obsessed with defeating death and finding longevity solutions, like injecting his son's blood plasma and stuff. This guy, Brian Johnson, is after a totally different goal than Clavicular. He wants to live forever, and it's not really about attractiveness. Clavicular, on the other hand, clearly has zero regard for his life and is risking it every day and putting his health on the line in order to be more attractive. He doesn't care about longevity or health.
I find something interesting, as somebody who dealt with substance abuse issues when I was younger, but always did not like the idea of like talking about it. I find something really interesting about not just talking about it, but valorizing it and turning it into like a pro-positive lifestyle. Like where he's not just talking about doing drugs, he's telling you that it's a good thing to do them. And that's kind of disturbing how far society is kind of cratered in a way.
Yeah, but then you see him interact with his actual fans in public sometimes, and he's clearly disgusted with the people that follow him and give him all his money and influence. And he realizes that he's having a destructive effect on his viewers. He knows that. But I see a recent change in him, actually. As soon as he linked up with Whoa Vicky, a notorious internet lolcow, he seems to be showing a different side. He's a little more vulnerable. He can be himself.
The smile is reaching his eyes there, ladies and gentlemen.
She captioned this photo with him, "Jesus loves you." And, you know, maybe Vicky just understands Clav in a way that other people wouldn't understand. And when he's with Vicky, you know, he stops trying to mog and he's able to crack a smile and laugh and eat a couple burgers.
Didn't even get rid of the bun, as I said.
With the bun, yeah. He clearly is quite smitten with Whoa Vicky. So we'll see if maybe his life takes a turn now that he's found this new relationship.
We can only hope that he finds as I've always said, it's a trope in the movies and the television shows. The guy who's on a wayward path finds the woman who puts him on the right path. She's good for him. She mellows him out. She helps him make better choices in life. It's a diner waitress, and the guy falls in love with the diner waitress, and they live together for 50 years, and they have a bunch of kids. Maybe these days it's not a diner waitress. Maybe these days it's Whoa Vicky.
She really makes him laugh. I saw a couple of clips of them interacting on stream, and he breaks character when she's in the room. It's clear that there's some sort of thing going on there. I think he's quite charmed with her.
She saw a photo and was like, I can change him.
He literally said, I can fix him. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe it'll work. Who knows?
Let's move on. Let's talk about Lena Dunham.
I really got to hand it to Lena Dunham because she hasn't just written one retrospective memoir on her life, but two. The second is titled Fame Sick, and it just came out yesterday. They say in this rowdy, frank reflection on illness, fame, sex, and everything in between, the remarkable mind behind the hit series Girls and best-selling author of Not That Kind of Girl asks whether fulfilling her creative ambitions has been worth the pain. For the last decade, as she spent countless hours in doctors' waiting rooms searching for diagnoses, treatments, and relief, being the owner and operator of Lena Dunham's body has felt like towing a wrecked car across town at midnight. It's not easy dragging a wrecked car anywhere, much less to the Met Gala, while sewn into a corset, or to the set of a hit show that you, as a 25-year-old, are writing, directing, producing, and starring in, or to the White House, the Golden Globes, or your publicist's office to discuss the latest internet disaster. But Lena Dunham does it, even if it means interminable hospital stays, vomiting in the bathroom when she's meant to be meeting Oprah, or terrifying those closest to her because she can no longer tell the difference between fighting to do what she loves and being a servant to her own ambition. All the while, she's holding out for a love that can withstand her personal and public challenges, and more than anything, yearning to feel like herself again, if only she could remember who that self really was.
That was deep, man. That was so deep.
So, Lena Dunham is on the promotional tour for this book, and you guys talked about it earlier this week.
Yeah, we talked about the Adam Driver side of things.
New revelations about working with Adam Driver on Girls, which we'll get to in a second. But before that, I want to play some of this interview with the New York Times where they discuss a lot of the hate that she received for her appearance, because back in the 2010s and the 2000s especially, our standards for what was considered comically fat were very different.
Yes, they
were. I would say that's for the best, honestly. She's gained a lot of weight since then. She doesn't look like her former self, and I'm sure she's not doing the best physically, but claims to be doing better mentally than she was back then. So here's what she had to say.
Here we go.
Crazy. So what do you think the depth of that negative feeling was really about?
I'm going to say something that's going to sound like a cop-out, and I don't, but I can only phrase it this way. I've annoyed people since I was so small. Like, I was an annoying kid. I was a tryhard. I was loud. Didn't always know how to operate in, like, I didn't always know how to, like, move through space.
I'm going to let you on something that makes me a little bit sad before we go on. The thing is now people would obsess about whether she was neurotypical, neuroatypical. They would be desperate to label it. And any actor who walked a similar path when they were younger now, like, we'll talk about how they were neuroatypical and blah, 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 blah. I kind of pine for the times when you were just a messy kid.
Yes, bring back weird kids.
Yeah.
That's quite refreshing.
And we will get to the other allegations. I saw some people mentioning the other allegations. Don't worry, guys. We will get there, but let's continue.
With other kids in a way that wasn't a little bit off or disruptive. And I remember one of my friends being like, but you've annoyed everybody since preschool. Like, what's good? But I also, that's coupled with, there was like the intense rage about the female sexuality on the show. There was the intense rage about my body, which is so crazy to look back on now because I was this like little slip of a 26-year-old. And had I known my own powers, I would have behaved very differently. And then, like, I would be lying if I didn't say that my own way of moving, whether it was through media or how I express myself online or even in my writing, didn't quell it. And then, of course, as detailed in the book, like, all of that had an effect on my health, my mental health, which then began to deteriorate, which was a secret I was trying to keep. And those secrets are hard to keep.
It's hard to believe that she could be in a better place mentally, but in such an even worse place physically. In a lot of ways, your physical health is tied to your mental health. Like when I'm in my best mental headspace, I'm skating more, I'm getting more exercise, and it shows physically that you're doing well mentally.
Yes.
I don't buy that. I think that this is a weird type of like pro therapy cope where she sees a therapist and then that somehow makes her more mentally healthy.
We can cut it here, but we all know that the outside reflects what's on the inside.
Yeah.
I can't imagine she has a much better self-perception these days compared to at the peak of her fame.
When you were like
but
doing the most.
She also said that she felt people were seeing her as an eyesore, basically, at the time, and that's how she felt about herself.
Yeah.
And someone pointed out, it's sad that she felt this way about herself, but it couldn't have been any other way, because otherwise she wouldn't have been such a great artist. She's more beautiful than any hot girl nepo baby influencer with lip filler, because she's a rare sort of person and not a moral loser. People will think I'm trolling or doing some evil female competition thing, but if you really think about it, you know it's true.
No.
There is something to the abjection of the artist. I think that is a valid point. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to write the story of the show. It was incredibly popular. She deserves credit for that.
But the thing is how she looked was tied directly to how it was sold. Okay, so if she looks different, the show never gets made. Not just because she can't write it, but because the network used it as a marketing gimmick to use, like, look at what we're showing now, which springboarded into body positivity and all the other things. And that's really the truth of most of the people in these industries that got there based on their, what they look like in the abstract, meaning like not the ones that fit into the traditional mold. Any actress that got big because they looked a specific way has to now contend with the fact that it changes whether they're viable in the future. How many times have we talked about the Melissa McCarthys and the Rebel Wilsons and whether they have anything to offer once they look differently? Like Rebel Wilson had it in her... was it Rebel Wilson that was in Pitch Perfect?
Yes.
Okay, she's the one who had it in her contract that she had to stay a certain weight. Because the discussion is around her character being fat. So Girls doesn't get made unless there's discourse about how skinny Adam Driver is and how comically fat she was, even though she wasn't comically fat.
Well, it's funny because she, in this memoir, mentions that there were other actresses who were like hotter and thinner than her who auditioned for Girls and didn't make it, including even Dakota Johnson was one that she mentioned.
That's like the total opposite end of the spectrum. It only
could have been her, I think. And she deserves credit where it's due. But we'll get to the Adam Driver stuff here, because I did just want to mention that. I know you guys covered it already. Mm-hmm. So she claimed that when they were working together on the set of Girls, Adam Driver was verbally aggressive and, quote, hurled me around during the first sex scene and threw a chair at the wall next to me during rehearsal. And people are arguing about her intent in revealing this information. Was she trying to throw him under the bus? Mm-hmm. One fan of hers, with context that I don't have because I haven't watched the show, claims that she was actually bragging about Adam Driver sort of method acting. She says, this is an atrocious headline because it creates the impression that Lena Dunham is Me-Tooing Adam Driver. But what she's really doing is humble bragging that they had a fetish method acting flirtation on the set of Girls, which, if you watch the show, was obvious to anyone in the 2010s because they looked like they were eye-effing each other in every scene and public appearance.
You'd have to be able to listen to the clips, I guess, of her talking about this to really kind of get what
Yeah.
her intent was. But that's exactly how I read it, which was that, look, I took it as the journalists and maybe her kind of throwing shade at him decades later. But I was like, that's not how it comes off, though. Hollywood loves this stuff. They love the actor that gets so into the performance that spit goes everywhere and they start throwing things at the wall because they're truly immersed in the character, because they love to self-mythologize what acting is. They love to turn it into this high form of art rather than, and I kind of fall in the middle. I've pointed out to people before. I said it's not so simple as to say they play pretend, but there's also going too far and attributing way more to it than it really needs.
Sure. And it appears that Lena Dunham has undergone some changes of heart in regard to Me Too. They do mention her falling out with her former best friend and colleague, Jenny Connor, who at the peak of the Me Too movement in 2017 co-wrote a public letter in defense of their Me Too'd colleague. This, I think, is mentioned in a breakdown of the revelations in the memoir. But basically, they wrote this letter together, and Lena Dunham now says she has zero memory of writing it. And shortly after it, you can tell by looking back at her records, she had just gotten out of an intense medical procedure. So she might have been, self-admittedly abusing pain medication and totally not aware of what was going on and not aware of her own actions when she wrote in defense of that colleague of hers. And then there comes the, sort of not Me Too, but those allegations against Lena Dunham herself in regard to her first memoir, where she admitted that she inappropriately touched her sister's genitals when she was 7 years old. And I don't like getting into detail about it, but it must be mentioned that this is her sister, who now identifies as a trans masculine non-binary individual, who now goes by Cyrus, but you should know that this is her sister. So in her first book, she shared that when she was 7 years old, she touched her 1-year-old sibling's genitals, setting off a firestorm that led to accusations of child molestation. And I think it was something to do with putting rocks in her sister's vagina. I hate saying that out loud, but
it was a long time ago. We covered this at some point recently in the last, I say recently, in the last couple of years, but gross stuff, as we all know.
Now that Lena Dunham has had a second chance to address this, she still does not deny that this happened. She fully owns that it was a true story. But she does feel guilty for sharing the story publicly because it involves someone in her family who she loves, and this person probably felt that their privacy was violated by the fact that she published this. And now it's become a subject of internet fascination and controversy, but she doesn't deny it. So do with that information what you will. And there's more information about Lena Dunham's long-term relationship with producer Jack Antonoff. He's worked closely with Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey and lots of different artists, but most importantly for this story, Lorde. Back when Lorde was a teenager, apparently she was at the Dunham Antonoff household quite a lot. And Lena shares that she cheated on Jack Antonoff in her new memoir. She added that it was around that same time Jack Antonoff had developed a closeness with a teen pop star, which struck an odd note. But according to her, she was so oblivious that she didn't even have the sense to be jealous about all of the time and attention he was giving to this teen pop star, who everyone knows is referring to Lorde. She said, "One day I returned home from a bone density test to find her sprawled across our sectional couch, weeping into Jack's lap as he told her that your teens are for experimenting." In a tone so comforting, it almost brought tears to my eyes. It had been so long since he'd spoken to me with that kind of expansive generosity. She says that Antonoff stayed locked in a room with this teen pop star, whose needs seemed as massive and complex as my own, and who called me Aunt Lena when I hobbled into the kitchen with my walker to grab another bottle of green tea. And even once she FaceTimed her boyfriend, Antonov, while visiting her grandmother, only to find him in the recording studio of our apartment, ensconced with this teen pop star I was too oblivious to be jealous of. So I don't know if she's dropping this info to once again subtly throw shade at Jack Antonoff and have people come after him for, allegedly having an inappropriate relationship with a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see if he has to respond to that. It's pretty weird because she's like making a lot of suggestive remarks about it, but isn't going the full length of saying that anything happened between them.
Depends on what was said in the original rendition of the book. I'm sure that the lawyers got involved and said you can go about this far before you're into defamation territory.
Exactly. So, I mean, like most memoirs, it's a lot of pity partying and throwing blame on other people, at least according to the information we have now.
All right, let's move on then. We've got more stuff to get into today. Let's talk about Alex and what's the other one? How do we do this?
Let's just get this clarification out of the way.
There's two Alexes.
Yes, there are two Alexes, and to preface, most people with jobs and lives and responsibilities don't know that Alex Cooper and Alex Earl are different people. So let's just clarify to start with. Alex Cooper is the 31-year-old host of the most popular podcast for women, Call Her Daddy. And Alex Earl is a 25-year-old influencer who at one point had a podcast on Alex Cooper's network, which is called Unwell. And her podcast was called Hot Mess. And they have very similar brands, very similar audiences, because they're all about being real. And Alex Earl is particularly known for being very honest about all of the plastic surgery and cosmetic procedures she gets, because she's so real. Mm-hmm. And Alex Cooper, on the other hand, is known for, being a woman who supports women. She's a girl's girl. This is her whole brand. This is what her empire is based on, is being perceived as a girl's girl who sits down on the couch in her sweatpants with her tea and talks about relationships with, Kate Hudson, Megan Fox. And everyone just feels so comfortable around her because she's such a relatable girl's girl. That's Alex Cooper.
It's if people want to know where the where the skill set is for a podcaster, for them that's exactly what it is. It's the ability for them to reach through the microphone or the camera and disarm you. And despite the fact that when they're recording these, they're usually, especially ones of their level, these aren't being recorded in somebody's living room. And if they are, it's with $1 million in equipment behind them. And they transcend the equipment. They transcend the awkward nature of talking to a person you've literally never met before in your entire life. And they are able to grab you in a way that is very, very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. So there is actually a lot of talent. It's just that it's like using your powers for evil rather than using your powers for good.
Right. Alex Cooper is a proxy for her viewer to feel like they are best friends with the stars.
And to reinforce to reinforce that your worst instincts are in fact the smart thing to do.
And they're always bragging about how I'm such a mess. Even the name of her production company, Unwell. I'm a mess. I'm unwell. I'm crazy, but I'm real. I'm honest. And it doesn't really make sense when you have a little more context about Alex Cooper's real life and her real personality. Mm-hmm. She is a savage businesswoman who is cutthroat, competitive, and shady. And this is already something that's a matter of public record. Originally, Call Her Daddy was a 2-person podcast. She started it with her friend Sophia, who nobody even knows about now. and they were on the Barstool Network together. And it used to be just two girls talking about, I guess, you know, their rosters and their promiscuity and hookups. That was, you know, late 2010s peak hookup culture, glorifying all of that. That's what the podcast was. And it's all about being a slut. And then they eventually had a falling out, both professionally and personally, because Alex Cooper is a cutthroat businesswoman. And it appears that the story goes, Alex Cooper renegotiated their contract to be the singular host of Call Her Daddy. And she made that arrangement with Dave Portnoy and eventually went independent. Now Call Her Daddy is her own property, and she has her own production company and is more successful than ever. But Alex Earl is, you know, a sort of successor to her brand that she started. And that's why she made perfect sense to join Unwell with her podcast. And I'll just take you through the timeline. Things started to look awry in 2025 when Alex Cooper had a Super Bowl party in New Orleans in February of 2025. And Alex Earl was mysteriously missing from that party. We have no idea why, but that was the beginning of people talking about a possible rift between these two. And Variety then reported that same month in February last year that Unwell dropped Alex Earl, and they would no longer sell ads for Alex Earl's show. And the Unwell Network renounced all rights to Hot Mess so that Alex Earl could freely explore other opportunities. And a few days after the news dropped that Hot Mess was dropped, Earl posted a TikTok update responding to Chatter Online, saying that she also had no idea what was going on. And I find that hard to believe, because then she proceeded to just with a never-ending string of sub posts throw shade at Alex Cooper nonstop. She said that she was going to walk away from her podcast and take a hiatus for the foreseeable future. And then in May 2025, she also declined to say why they parted ways. She said behind the scenes, it was a little bit of a hot mess. We have plans to bring it back. It might look a little different, but I'm excited to see what we do with it. And then in August 2025, Alex Earl changed her mind. She was not going to just take this silently. She was going to get revenge. And today I learned what CoStar is. It's an app that apparently a lot of women have that gives you real-time, detailed horoscopes. She is obsessed with this app, CoStar. And she goes to
I've
her
never
TikTok
heard
followers.
a bigger red look. I get to make the joke that I am married, which means that now I get to be one of those people who's like, I got the last copter out of Saigon, right? But gentlemen, if you are single, her liking, you know, astrology is a red flag in and of itself. But if she's using this app, you should not just run. You should run at top speed. Whatever direction is the other direction.
Yeah, if you see this app on her home screen,
just go.
It's just cut it and run. But yeah, let's show this TikTok from Alex Earl. She's talking about how her horoscope app convinced her to finally get revenge.
Wait, is it this one or the TikTok? This one right here?
This is it. Yes.
Okay, here we go, guys. Make sure it's on.
CoStar told me that I can start shit today. It told me. It said you can start some shit. So, I mean, CoStar told me to. And, like, low-key, I kind of, like, I mean, is this my time that I've been waiting for to go? It's like, I have so much information. We could go. I've just been waiting for CoStar to tell me to. Oh, I think I'm losing my mind. But, like, I wake up every day and I'm like, what should I do, CoStar? And I look there, and today, it's like, revenge. Like, let's go. Like, get him. And I'm like, but I don't know. I don't know if I should listen to Coasty, but she told me to, so.
Yeah. So she also seems incredibly unstable. And a lot of people are going to say she's acting this unprofessional because of her age. I would say that's no excuse
No,
to be
she's
acting that way
playing a
at the big
character.
age of 25. There's no excuse.
Do you know what it is? They are all running the old pro wrestler playbook, which is the best character that you can play as a pro wrestler is just your own personality turned up to a factor of 10 or 11, right? It's like you are at your most natural when you're being the worst version of yourself for entertainment purposes. And that wasn't even entertaining. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a dude, but I'm looking at this like she's not even charismatic.
No.
Not really.
No. She's not really selling it.
I'm
for me.
looking for some charisma if I'm going to watch, two vapid, self-obsessed women fight with each other online, which, to be fair, like I only ever see if it's something that you bring to me to talk about. But my God, I'm looking for some charisma and some character, and there was not really anything there.
Right. Well, one of her followers replied asking her to finally tell the truth about what happened with her and Alex Cooper, and she said, "How much time do you have?" And directly after that, she didn't end up, elaborating on it whatsoever. But as of April this year, she has reposted a TikTok that accuses Alex Cooper of being an ambulance chaser. And this was not her post, it was someone else's that she reposted. They basically say Alex Cooper is a heartless monster because all she cares about is getting the exclusive interview with somebody who just went through something really traumatic. And she wants to be the one to get the first scoop on it every time. And I really can't, I'm not a fan of Alex Cooper, but I can't blame her for being, supposedly an ambulance chaser.
That's her job.
Entire job.
Her job is to be an ambulance chaser.
Yes, her entire job is convincing people that it's worth it to go on Call Her Daddy and trauma dump. And they do, happily. And if any of them feel it wasn't a positive experience, I'm sure they would be eager to say. But that is what finally convinced Alex Cooper to stoop down to Alex Earl's level and respond, asking Earl to finally come out with the story. What is your beef with me? And this is what she ended up posting on her TikTok. This was on Pop Base.
Is that this one here? Hold on.
Yes.
This one. Here we go.
Hey guys. You guys know I don't usually address this kind of stuff because it feels like a waste of time, and honestly, it's embarrassing to participate in this, but I am obviously seeing the videos, I'm getting tagged, I see the DMs, I see the comments, so at this point it just feels long overdue. Alex Earl, hey girl. The passive aggressive reposts and the likes and the commenting on things, I gotta call you out here. You're gonna need to get specific and just say what you gotta say about me. There's no NDA. No one is stopping you. Stop hiding behind other people and just say it yourself. What's the beef? Because I'm
So
really
it's still a mystery. Alex Cooper didn't enlighten us on what the beef is, and Alex Earl promised that she would finally, come out with her side of the story, and still has not. So I hate to say it, but Dave Portnoy is right about this. He came out with his own take on the feud between them because he knows them both quite well. And he said there, might have been some jealousy between them, but it probably actually stems from conflicting business interests and contract disputes. And he said, I think people know this about Alex Cooper at this point. She is a savage. She is a businesswoman, boss lady, savage. That's his opinion of Alex Cooper, and he probably respects Alex Cooper for that.
That's
but
almost
something
more
that her
embarrassing.
Own fans don't know about her.
That's even more. Well, also, it's a very male thing. Like, for as much as women talk about loving to be boss babes and wanting to be successful in business, men are the ones that appreciate ruthless business practice.
This is true.
And so I was going to say, so as long as you don't cloak it in someone else and you are unapologetically ruthless in your business, like that is, I think that is why that, like, to me, as much as people can hate on David Ellison, I'm like, bro just didn't give up. He was just like, no, you're not winning. I'm going to get money from Saudi Arabia. I'm going to get money from literal, like, people that the world cannot stand because I can't stand to lose. And Dave Portnoy is of the same ilk, meaning that he is a ruthless businessman and always has been. And one of the characters of that type of especially a front-facing ruthless businessman, which David Ellison doesn't technically qualify as. He may do interviews, but he is not a personality in the same sense, which is that they have to be able to master the ability to be both ruthless in business, but somehow look approachable in their on-camera persona. So he probably takes a lot of respect for that and probably looks down on an Alex Earl where he's like, so you're just doing it, but not as well.
Exactly. And Dave Portnoy looks at Alex Cooper and it's like real recognizing real, because he respects that she is cutthroat. And it's got to be an incredible balancing act to prevent her own fans from knowing that about her, because she's sitting crisscross applesauce on her couch in her socks and her matching loungewear
sweatpants.
set.
She can't be a ruthless businessman. Ruthless businessmen don't wear sweatpants.
And she's got her hair in a scrunchie, and she's not wearing makeup, and she's so real, and she just supports women so much. This is why every women's conference, we make jokes about how no matter what day of the year it is, there is a women's summit happening somewhere. And every single one of them, especially that have a focus on women in business, is about how to uplift other women, how to give other women opportunities. It's never about what it really takes to become successful in the business world, especially something like podcasting, where you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars being on the line. Uplifting other people and being a nice person and a girl's girl is gonna get you nowhere. And Alex Cooper knows that better than anybody.
There are influencers that can run with that, okay? So there's a singer named Sheena Melwani that I've talked about on this show before, and she's a singer, but she's also a mom, and she and her husband both have their own Instagram channels that are very successful, and they create content, and it's mostly humor and lifestyle stuff, right? But when they do podcasts, when she does podcasts, it's always like women uplifting women, women supporting women, and that's fine, okay? It fits for her. She's in her own lane doing her own thing, right? But if you're talking the podcast space where we're talking about interviews, we're talking about contracts, we're talking about selling ad space for thousands upon thousands of dollars, you are now no longer just an influencer. You're a business person. You're an entity. And you don't benefit, at least men wouldn't benefit from can you imagine? It's I guess this is kind of what the manosphere is, or it's imagine if the guys were men uplifting men. No.
Well, it sounds gay.
Yes.
And also dishonest either way.
But it is dishonest when the women do it as well. It's just, it's the same thing that they've seen. So it's the same trope that now is pervasive on television, which is they don't make women characters in conflict with one another if they're on the main cast. They have to be best friends. They can't dislike each other. They can't fight over a male character because that wouldn't fit the code. And that's why it never rings true to people, because that's not really how it works in the real world.
Yeah, and I hope that if more comes out about this possible contract dispute between Alex Cooper and Alex Earl, maybe people will start to see through this facade that Alex Cooper has crafted for herself. But so far, she's done a great job. She's gone to great lengths to be perceived as the internet's big sister, and it's a total lie, and Dave Portnoy knows it, and she knows it, and it's just ridiculous that anyone believes that shit anymore. Can't blame her for being supposedly an ambulance chaser. That's her job, and people are watching. So
all right.
I found interesting the contrast between how she presents herself and who she really is behind the scenes when it comes to doing business.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
All right. Burned Oil said, come to find through a candid interview that Sydney is really classy, poised, repairs cars, isn't corrupted like Haley. Mary still judging people too quickly. I don't think there's anything classy about dressing up like an adult baby, spread eagle on a couch with a pacifier in your mouth, but, you know, that's fine. Not that Jon Stewart said, up is down, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
It's a Ghostbusters reference.
I didn't remember that one. Corey Anderson said, great day to be Protestant. I ain't being friendly with Muslims. The Pope is compromised.
Oh, I'm
my
sure
gosh.
Mary takes offense to that, right?
Do we have to talk about the Pope and Trump right now? I mean, obviously I take the Pope's side. That doesn't even need to be said. I'm Team Pope Leo all the way. And that photo that Trump posted was really distasteful and gross and blasphemous.
You know, an example would have been Steve Jobs, who was portrayed as like the brilliant. I'm going back to the discussion about ruthless businessman who had like a good guy image in front of the camera. Like, this has just been a trope for, you know, forever, right? That there's the guy who gets his image as being folksy, but really he's ruthless in all business practices. Otherwise he wouldn't be there to begin with.
Yeah. It's quite deceiving. I think we might have missed this 20 earlier from Shane.
Did I miss
apologies if we missed that. As a devotee to the Divine Mercy, I can say visiting the Shrine of Divine Mercy Sunday for Divine Mercy Sunday is based, and Catholic Palooza 2026 will happen June 27th in Glen Head, New York at St. Hyacinth's. I wasn't aware that there was going to be another Catholic Palooza because I had seen some announcement, so I think last year, saying it wasn't going to happen again. But that's a pleasant surprise. I hope it goes well. Boston said, Mary, I've told the show I dealt with that and I'm only 35. Like, I graduated 2010. They did much worse than Rulers. What did they do? What did they do to you? I don't know. May have not gone to a very normal Catholic school then, because there were no nuns, period, let alone nuns hitting anybody with rulers.
I have very important news that I just learned. There is a new NCIS spin-off coming out set in New York with LL Cool J and Scott Conn. So, I mean, I haven't liked a single NCIS spin-off since New Orleans, but, you know, maybe this one will be good because it's got LL Cool J, who is from the LA spin-off, which I love. So that is fantastic news for me. Don't know about y'all.
I'm sorry, but that is a show that you watch when you're in a hospital bed.
Not us.
Drinking apple juice. That's the only situation in which I would watch an NCIS spinoff.
I love it.
Is if I'm literally in the hospital.
I gave up.
Drip.
I tried to watch the like prequel series that they made called Origins, which is like Gibbs like when he was starting his career.
Remember.
And they gave so apparently somebody who worked for the a scientist who worked for the U.S. government in 1993 had blue hair, and I'm like, nope, I'm out. I can't do this. Also, just like for a society that likes to talk about how women were held back, there was a statistically improbable amount of women in positions of power in the within the military police. Like, I just don't buy it. If
in the 80s, you mean?
The show would have been set in like 93. So okay. Way too many women in positions of power, way too many female field agents. Did they exist? I don't know, probably, but it probably wasn't that many people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What does the blue hair mean? It means that nobody working at those jobs was allowed to have blue hair in 1993.
Also, less people, had blue hair back then. I know this is like totally inconceivable to guys out there, but it is quite shocking how fast like hair technology has developed in the past just like 15 or 20 years.
What do you mean?
I mean, it just used to be so much more difficult to chemically process hair without losing it. And like, I don't know. I think they deserve more credit, honestly, for creating ways to do that.
Yeah. I mean, not really, because now people do it with reckless abandon.
It's not just that people are more likely to like bleach and dye their hair nowadays because there are less stringent rules on that sort of thing in the professional world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like in '93,
it's also like actually easier because of the technology. So you would not likely have blue hair in like the early 90s. That's just not something that was common at all.
And no business, especially no government mandated business, would have allowed you to do it.
No. Crit said, Mary, thoughts on Katy Perry's clam slam allegations?
Yeah. Oh, what are your thoughts?
Olivia found all the euphemisms funny. Was it just clam slam, or were there other ones?
There was other ones. I don't remember what they were, but there were other ones.
I think that, well, I have to look into it more. There were claims that Ruby Rose is a pathological liar and that she's falsely accused people before.
So there was
when you look back at that American Idol clip,
we didn't show the clip, but we mentioned it yesterday.
She's a little too touchy-feely with people. Like, I can tell it's a recurring problem for her. So I wouldn't necessarily doubt it. Like, I believe Anna Kendrick was telling the truth. I think she was saying it because she thought it was funny.
I still think
traumatized.
I'm just picturing like the cop, the detective, taking her statement in 2026, and he's like, "So, do you want to do like a sexual assault kit like 20 years ago?
Like, what do you want me to do?"
It's not meant to be mean. It's literally just like, what are we?
Congrats
What am I?
or sorry that happened. I'm not reading all that.
Like, there's not really something they can do about it outside of maybe gathering statements. And the nightclub owner claims to still remember this and says they were both really drunk.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I buy that club owner still remembers it. I think he's just clout chasing.
Yeah, that sounded like bullshit. It was what year though?
It was 20 years ago.
2006. Okay, yeah, that's ancient history at this point. And I'm honestly surprised that a nightclub has been operating for that long.
I mean, then the nightclub might not be around anymore, but they got a comment from the guy who did run it.
All right, that's crazy. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm not even going to make the Euphoria joke anymore. At this point, it's talking to a brick wall. It just gets worse and worse. Yeah, it's sunk to new lows that we didn't even know were possible. One time I was volunteering on a Republican political campaign. I won't say like what it was. It's not worth it. But there were other volunteers who were just like messing around in the office and not working. And they started talking about Euphoria because the second season had come out by then, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are like men in their 30s right now talking about a teen soap opera that's also basically porn in polite company in like suits and ties. Like, I was disgusted by that. Even back then I thought it was like the cringiest thing in the world. Even if you like Euphoria, you can't just go around in public admitting that to people.
Yeah.
It's so unprofessional. And they might as well have been talking about their favorite porn stars in the office. It was just gross. I mean, I know it's not that bad. It's on TV, but it shouldn't be. Murd Oils said Sydney didn't do that scene to promote that sort of behavior. She did it to denounce and expose it. That's the part that Mary gets wrong. You gotta be trolling here, right? Am I getting rage baited? Be honest.
I was just writing my follow-up tweet because now I'm deeply immersed in what's going on with NCIS New York, but frog of shame for you.
What's the frog of shame?
I mean, I can't give it because I'm not on the internet technically, but like I would be posting the frog of shame if I could right now because that's not why Sydney Sweeney is doing this.
I mean, she did it for money and clout and because she has no moral compass. Why else would you dress up like an adult baby with a diaper and a pacifier and spread your legs on a couch for the world to see with your tits out? Why else would you do that? It's just, I'm getting rage baited. This has to be a troll. For my own peace of mind, I'm just gonna tell myself that you're trolling and move on.
I have learned apparently with this show that even though Scott Conn previously played Danny Williams on Hawaii Five-0, which is in the same universe as NCIS, he's not playing Danny Williams. He's playing a new character. Why are you doing that?
It's in the same universe.
So they did crossover episodes. So they exist in the same universe. So.
Okay, I had no idea about that. Robert Delera said Spider-Man's other love interest is Gwen Stacy. Sydney Sweeney should be trying to get that role the next time the character is in a Spider-Man movie.
That would be really funny.
That would be an incredible showmance moment. I would die to see that.
Like she's like, I did 5 test screenings and I actually sacrificed a bunch of better roles just to do this, just because fuck Zendaya.
She's just on the warpath. Shane H. Wilder said, that ain't even cringe. He knew his assignment and delivered. Thanks for bringing us back to cringe normalcy or cringe normalcy.
It's cringe.
You're welcome.
Normality, not normalcy. Stop saying that.
Was the cringe particularly bad?
Oh, yeah. She's taken it as like a kind of like world ending in a way. Like if it came across my algorithm naturally, I'd probably turn my phone off. But
that's the best kind.
That's just me. The Monday one was worse than the Tuesday one. As bad as the Tuesday one was, the Monday one of watermelon Snicker Wiener Man. That's a thing. It's awful and it should be banned from the internet.
I'll tell you, I'm not getting as much cringe in my For You page these days. This is like, I keep scrolling through like educational videos about like fashion history.
I mean, that's a good thing, right? You like that?
I like that stuff, but it's not good for organizing the cringe folder these days.
Yeah.
So I've gotta change my algorithm.
I don't really get any cringe. Like the amount of cringe I get is dependent on how much time I'm spending on Instagram. If I'm spending more time on Instagram, it starts naturally finding its way to the forefront.
Okay, I don't think that the OD was funny, but this super chat from Crit is funny. When he was ODing, someone should have hit the "fa" sound effect.
Don't.
Oh man.
I only want the best for this dude. I hope he gets some help. Being 20 is hard enough. Being 20 and being surrounded by vampires and enablers is even worse.
I was speculating off air before the show about what the reaction would have been like had he actually died yesterday, and it would have been no pause whatsoever, straight into he's just a meme now. Like nobody would take a single moment of seriousness.
No. I mean,
if he died yesterday,
Charlie
he would be memed immediately.
We talked about it. Like Charlie Kirk built like a massive following and built a legacy for himself at a very quick frame of period of time, right? Like he was not that old. He was what, 33, 34? How old was he?
I think he might have been 31.
He was unbelievably successful, unbelievably influential, and it still devolved into that almost instantaneously. Like nobody else stands a chance. Like, but that's just the pace of which the internet turns now, right? Like I saw stuff about Charlie Kirk like in like the same day or within a day from people that did, that I knew were politically motivated and didn't like his side of the aisle. And you think about how long it took for people to be kind of cool with 9/11 jokes, because the world moved at a slower pace back then. If something happened, like God forbid, if something like that happened now, it would still be instantaneous.
Right.
It would be.
That's just sad to think about. The people don't have the same. And sensitive is such a loaded word now. They just don't have the same sensitivity that they used to, and it's because of a loss of innocence, and like we're just very coarse now.
Yep.
Greg Duvier said, "I thought Kick suspended him after the alligator shooting. I
forgot about that.
Kick would have lost too much money, which is sad. Yeah, they are supposed to be a little bit more like Rumble in that they're like kind of playing it fast and loose with their TOS,
They do,
but
yeah.
it's they're incentivized to let him get away with more. For sure.
The local Wendigo over on Rumble says women supporting other women is a complete fantasy.
Most of the time, yeah. Greenfield said, Fashionista Mary thinks looks don't equal personality. What is this related to? I don't remember if it was about Clavicular or Lena Dunham.
I don't know which one that's in relation.
I don't know. I never claimed that looks equal personality, whatever that means. You're gonna have to be more specific. Robert Delara said, if Woe Vicky can't fix Clavicular, then probably no one can.
Is that really the standard now? Like the only woman who can fix Clavicular is Woe Vicky? What about Bahad Bahabi? I bet you Bahad Bahabi could save him.
Absolutely not. She has no redeeming qualities. Woe Vicky can do it. Sweet woman. But I think honestly it's because she's been a lol cow for like almost a decade now, and she's really been through the ringer. She knows how the internet works and like the incentive structure behind it and why you do things that are humiliating or bad for you personally for clout. I think that that's like a valuable perspective to have in his position. I genuinely feel that way. Corey Anderson said, holy double chin Batman.
Maybe Trisha Paytas could save Clavicular.
Ooh, that would be an interesting collab. I don't know if she could save Clavicular, but she would definitely teach him to mukbang. They would do a mukbang together. Shane H. Wilder said, all these Alexes, and only one I care about is Jones. Yeah, he's hands down best Alex on the planet.
Guys, we're like 2/3 of the way to a second Crisis Party. I don't know who it was in the chat earlier. I think it was Vamp. Vamp said like, only one Crisis Party? Yes, only one Crisis Party. What's up with that?
We can make it to 2. I believe in us. Shane said, if I found out a chick I was dating had the CoStar app, there would be a me-shaped hole in the wall, and I'd end up in 1955 after hitting 88 miles per hour.
Yep.
As you should. Protect yourself, kings. Robert Delara said, the war between Alex and Alex needs to stop. Ceasefire now, please, for the sake of humanity. It's just disgusting.
There's a genocide going on in the Call Her Daddy studio.
It's sad.
We need to stop it.
Boss N said $2 for the correct pious enchanting Karen Daria, 9 out of 10. Thank you.
Since I didn't get a chance to mention this earlier in the week, and I thought I would, since I made my half joking support for the new NCIS show that I probably won't end up watching because they've all been bad, and after we hit the 2020s, I do want to make a recommendation that people go and check out the show Granite Flats, which I was telling Mary about earlier. See, I read about this show because.
Wait, can you give them the spoiler?
I will
about who is behind it
in a second. So basically, it's kind of like a little bit Stranger Things, a little bit Twin Peaks. It's in the 1960s. The U.S., the Soviet Union. Kids are worried about nuclear annihilation. They're being told to hide under the desks if something happens, and they live in this town called Granite Flats on a military base. And there's a big explosion on the base. And right before that, one of the kids from the show, who is the son of the local police chief, played by Richard Gunn, they're finding like peculiar pieces of metal in places that it shouldn't be in the town of Granite Flats, and they start investigating it. These kids start investigating it. Then there is the big explosion, and it kind of feels like a little bit sci-fi, a little bit period piece. It's a lot of fun. And what I learned, because I found this on the Up Faith and Family Network, which I now pay for along with the Hallmark Channel, don't have HBO Max, but I have Hallmark and Up Faith and Family, is that this was a show made by something called BYU TV, and I was like,
if you know, you know.
And then I looked into it. This was a Brigham Young University original television show that was on Netflix at one point. And has literally extremely high ratings across the board. Like, all the episodes are in the 8s on IMDb.
I have so many questions, but the main one is BYU TV still a thing?
I have no idea if it's still a thing. I know that they said that it started. So this show was made in 2012 and premiered in 2013.
Mormons are so rich, dude. Like, they're so well organized and they're so good at marketing. They're so good at PR and media and aesthetics. And this doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Apparently, so it's got Richard Gunn, who is a well-known actor. I had heard of almost most of the adult actors. I haven't started season 2 yet, but in season 2, you literally get Christopher Lloyd. I'm talking Marty McFly, Back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd. It's crazy. Well, he's not Marty McFly, but you get my point. You get Back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd, as like a main character. And it just proves you that the actors will take any job.
Yeah, and good for them.
Exactly.
Well, shout out.
Everybody
BYU.
should go watch it. It's
shout out Brigham Young.
Yep.
Is there any, coffee drinking in the show? Do they drink coffee?
No, they make the point. They won't drink coffee. I looked into it. So no coffee drinking.
That's insane.
No coffee drinking, and alcohol is only shown if it's bad. Like, yeah, the dad of one of the characters is a drinker, and he's very clearly shown to be a bad guy.
It's so interesting that they would be willing to show alcohol in a negative context, but they're not willing to show coffee in any context.
I mean, I guess what would it be? Like, he's drinking coffee and he's addicted to the caffeine?
He's all jittery and he's gonna have a caffeine crash. Like, what's the way that? I mean,
look, I'm only like halfway through the first season, so for all I know, maybe they do show coffee drinking in a negative light down the line. But I would recommend everybody go and check it out. It's actually shocking. Like, the production value on this show is leagues above much of what is coming out these days.
I must recommend The Housemaid, guys, since we're doing recommendations.
Yeah.
I watched The Housemaid on one of my flights. And
it seemed like something you would like.
It was really entertaining. Like, I had to hand it to them. Although everyone is gonna think that I went in with bias, but everyone who said that Amanda Seyfried outacted Sydney Sweeney was 100% right.
Well, I'm sure, right?
There were so many scenes where, I'm sorry, but Sydney was just expressionless. Mm-hmm. In situations where it made zero sense to be stone-faced, she just was giving nothing. And it got better as the movie went on, but for the most part, Amanda Seyfried was carrying the acting. Brandon Sklenar, whatever his name is, was okay.
Sklenar.
But Amanda Seyfried was the standout, and it was definitely entertaining. The premise is ridiculous because it's based on a grocery store novel, but what do you expect? Mm-hmm. There are all of these insanely wealthy, battered housewives who are about to hire this ultra-feminist hit woman in the form of Sydney Sweeney, disguising herself as a housemaid, and that's how they set up for the sequel. So it was feminist propaganda, but it was entertaining feminist propaganda,
and that's what matters.
We'll probably watch the sequel. Kayla Connors said, wait, is it call her daddy like I'm going to call this girl my dad, or I need to call her father on the phone? That's such a good question. I didn't really think about it from all those different angles, or maybe at all. But it's something about, like, being like a man, right? Like, that is the meaning behind the name, right? We're going to be like men. We're going to have rosters. All the men are, hooking up with women and ghosting them. So we're going to do the same thing because we can be just like men. That's the idea behind it. Corey Anderson said, no, I don't care about Trump. I meant the groveling to Muslims in Algeria. I don't know any of the context behind what you're referencing, so I don't have a response. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not the Pope PR team just because I'm Catholic, so yeah. Smoke Daddy said, do you think abolishing slavery was a mistake? What? That's kind of an out-of-pocket question. No, I don't think that abolishing slavery was a mistake. Next question. Boss N said, justice under God, jug hands behind your back, and they cannot unclasp inch away from the wall with your nose. Hold for an hour. Don't move or restart. LOL.
I'm so confused.
I have no idea what any of that means. Shane H. Wilder said, I called into IRL to discuss the Pope-Trump issue. Team Leo, Tim is contemplating coming back to the church, and let me pray a Catholic prayer for them.
I saw his tweet.
That's good to hear.
Yep.
That would be great if he went back to church. And no worries about missing the 20. Mary reads more betterer anyway.
That is true.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your understanding. Bossen said, and on your knees the whole time, no joke? Wait, what? I have no idea what any of that means. Is it something about Catholic school? I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said the frog of shame comes for all.
Yep.
Wait, is it the frog of shame or frog of shame?
Shame with an M.
It was autocorrect.
Shame.
Yeah. Katie said, hey Brett, have you seen the film Rock of Ages yet? It has Alec Baldwin before he was a killer.
I have not. I have heard of it, but it's probably just one of those things I've heard in passing. I've never seen it. There's so many movies I haven't seen. Like the vast majority. I was always more of a TV person than a movie person. Though I do think that we'd so one thing me and Olivia were thinking about doing is like I like the idea of like with Colonel Kurtz not here right now, like maybe we just have like a movie review every week. It's like, but I don't. You don't always want to go and do new movies. It's like we gathered the list of like the 100 worst movies ever made. Several different lists, like the Rotten Tomatoes list, which is based off of the actual rating system. There's a bunch of them. And maybe doing that, and I'll tell you why. Because it's way cheaper to rent a crappy old movie. They're like $3 or $4 to rent. Whereas if you want to rent a new movie, you pay almost as much as you pay to buy it.
Yeah,
which is like $20.
There are still some things coming out in theaters that would pique your interest.
I'm excited for more. Like, look, there's a bunch of slop this year that I'm excited to go see. I'm very excited to see Mortal Kombat.
Great year for slop.
I'm very excited to see Street Fighter. I am. I'm even the most recent Masters of the Universe trailer turned my opinion around on that one, which I was not excited about beforehand.
You know, I just love watching movies on flights because it feels like I'm watching it for free, but I'm definitely not because I paid hundreds of dollars for my flight. Yeah. Gotta make the most of it. Kayla Connors said, Mary, if you want to add more cringe content for Cringe of the Day, might I recommend clips from an internet show? Well, I don't know what an internet show is. I've heard of a internet show, but there must be some people copying us. That is really cringy. Mike 500 said OG NCIS is the superior NCIS.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've only ever watched the original LA and New Orleans, and I never finished New Orleans. And I've stopped LA at season 8 or whatever. When Kenzie mentioned man spreading, I was like, that's it for me. It's a complete disregard to the character, which grew up on military bases and training with men. She was never in the military, but her dad was like a military sniper, blah, blah, blah. It was a disregard to the character, so I stopped. I never watched Sydney. I tried to watch Origins. Yeah, just I'll stick with the original. Plus, I just go back and watch the old ones because there's so much neoliberal propaganda that's just fantastic in the early seasons of those shows. Like, you can complain about it all you want, but we are a country divided right now. I love the rah-rah slop of neoliberal, colonial encroachment on foreign countries that we were going through in the early 2000s. Let's invade. Let's go.
It's making you into a war hawk.
Yeah. Basically, like, I watch the show and I become Lindsey Graham for just a second.
You transform into Lindsey Graham with his bubble wand. Thank you. Wilder said, what is a internet show? Never heard of her. Yeah, I don't know why everyone keeps talking about this show, a internet show, but it doesn't exist. And do they have an episode on the holy underwear is what they want to know about BYU TV show? Do they show the garments?
Undergarments? What? Like,
You know how Mormons wear these garments? They have special underwear that they call their garments.
the characters are not portrayed as Mormons, as far as I can
Oh.
tell.
Really?
No,
I
they're
thought
not.
that they were, or at least that they were implicitly Mormon, because who doesn't drink coffee?
They go to church, but like I said, there's even the young character of, is it like Amelia? Like, or whatever her name is, like her family, she talks about, we're secular humanists, and they're the only family in town that doesn't go to church, and everybody looks at them weird. I think something's going on with the parents, though, because they keep, the daughter is like a main character, but they have not shown the parents yet, and all you know is that she was adopted, and they have important jobs as scientists on base, so I can see where they're going with that one. But, yeah, Madeline, I forget what her character name is, but, like, I don't think they're Mormons. I think they're just Christians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They have a pastor, so
Robert-
that would make them Protestants, right?
I don't know how it works with Mormons, if they have people that they would call pastors, or I think they call them elders, maybe,
Yeah.
instead. Robert Delera said, the only coffee people should be drinking on TV is cast brew. Mary would agree.
There you go.
I 100% agree. And, you know, it's been a while since I promoted my cast brew flavor, but I should just mention that I have one. It's called Mary's Ghost Blend, and it is available on castbrew.com. Pop Culture Junkie said, I had heard about the Brigham Young produced show, wondered what happened to it. I'll have to check it out.
So, yeah, apparently, so from what I was learning about it, because like I said, it's got tons of reviews that belie something that small. Like, usually you can tell by whether a show has any reach if there's not a lot of reviews, but the whole, like, there's reviews for every episode from multiple people. A lot of people do get into back and forths about whether there's a lot of religious propaganda in it. And as somebody who is acutely aware of that type of stuff, it's not in anything that I can see. What they're showing you is a sense of what feels like authentic traditionalism to that time period. So the dad in the 60s is not some lovey-dovey, you know, he's not soft parenting. Like, he's actually kind of a dick at first, but then he has a lot of actual, like, down-to-earth connecting moments with his son, and that rough exterior kind of fades away at certain points, but it's still there, because that's who he is to the public. It feels very, very much as if it would have been unconcerned with the public's opinion of the way the characters are portrayed. It didn't look to want to fall into any type of modern-day propaganda.
Okay.
It was good.
Robert said, Brett, I think you'd like RJ Decker on ABC/Hulu.
My friend, I am a humongous RJ Decker advocate on X, and I am awaiting the season 2 renewal. I am ready to watch episode 7 tonight, which when it comes to Hulu.
All right.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think they've done a really, really great job of making all the characters on that show likable, because they really started off rough with the detective lady. She was really awful the first half of episode 1, but they really, really turned her into a likable character by the end of that episode, and it's been consistently good the whole time. And if you've ever watched any of the stuff I've recommended, granted I don't try to make a lot of recommendations, I say this is what I like, and if you want to try it, do so at your own risk. I'm enjoying that show a lot, and I really, really enjoyed the season finales of both High Potential and Best Medicine. Funnily enough, all 3 of them are Hulu shows, because one of them is a Fox show and the other 2 are ABC shows.
Hulu is under attack,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Greg Duvier said the problem with The Housemaid was the exposition dump when Amanda Seyfried's character finally gets out of the house. Yes, that did drag from what I recall, but in the moment, I wasn't bored. Yeah, I still found that part entertaining. It probably did when it did go on too long, and it maybe should have been shown through dialogue with her daughter. Another problem with The Housemaid, Amanda Seyfried's daughter is really annoying. I don't like her at all. I don't know if they wrote her on purpose to be an annoying brat. I guess you can't blame her. She's has a psychotic narcissist abuser for a father.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, her mom is obviously like drugged out all the time. I guess she would be annoying, but I just didn't care for that little girl. Boss N said, you guys asked what more they did than Rulers. Yeah, I just lost track of what we were talking about. because that happens in the super chats sometimes. Corey Anderson said, "What are you having for dinner?" That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't really think about it that far ahead.
Yeah. But I did have dinner. That's the answer. Only the terminally online will understand that reference.
Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said Mary's film noir lighting has returned. Yeah. I have made some improvements on my lights in the background. I know it's subtle, but it matters to me. High Voltage 75 said in-flight movie with snacks.
Well, not pretzels.
I go insane with the sparkling water. Yeah. And the zins. It was great. Greenfield said, why bad old movies and not old movies generally? Well, it's more fun to, laugh at something because it's bad.
Also, it feels there's less pressure to review bad movies, You
mean like bad like The Room or bad
yes.
like...
Yeah, like just ones that are rated badly. Like I looked at this list of 100 bad movies, and a lot of them are like those like straight to DVD Nicolas Cage movies he made when he was trying to get out of his tax debt, where he was just taking everything thrown at him because they were paying him a good amount.
You guys should also review Colleen Hoover movies. I think that would be really fun.
Olivia would love that. I can't say that I would.
Regretting You was really bad, but I must say that McKenna Grace was by far the standout performance, and that girl is going places. David Lowe said, Mary, what are your thoughts on the recent Sabrina Carpenter fiasco with the yodeler in her crowd?
Yeah, what were your thoughts?
I think that she had a totally normal reaction and shouldn't have apologized. That's basically it. People are incredibly rude and feel entitled to disrupt a public performance that everyone is there and paying for. I think that's ridiculous. And no, I don't respect their culture, and neither should she. But she did,
there was no world. There's no timeline where she wasn't going to apologize for that. The only way she wouldn't have apologized for it if it was a white culture, then she would have not apologized.
Yodeling is a cultural cry.
Yeah.
If we're being literal about the term cultural cry, like yodeling is just done by white people, and that's what makes it okay to sneer at it, but they also wouldn't have been justified in yodeling in the middle of someone's performance either.
Nope.
Shane H. Wilder said, as Pope Clement VIII said when blessing coffee, this Satan's drink is so delicious that it would be a pity to let the infidels have exclusive use of it. That's incredible. I love that. Penamite said, I doom bought? Wait, is this a new term, doom buying? I doom bought a bunch of coffee early in lockdown, lost it in the garage for a few years, then found and drank it. It holds just fine, so I can endorse buying some to put away with the Halloween decorations. Look, you can enjoy Mary's Ghost Blend all year. It can be Halloween all year if you want.
There you go.
Doesn't taste any different in the spring. Yeah.
All right, guys, I believe that's everything. Before we go, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, as I always ask of you guys. Also, like I said, if you are a PCC channel member, go over and watch the full-length episode that I recorded yesterday with Valiant Renegade. We got into the decline of Hollywood. We got into the ridiculous budget of Avengers Doomsday, and we got into the layoffs that are going on over at Marvel right now, as was just reported on right before we went live. It was fantastic talking to him. I think you guys will really enjoy watching that episode. It was a lot of fun, so go and check that out. And if you are not a channel member, that will go live. Remember, channel members get early access. It's going live Saturday night at 7 p.m., and I think everybody will enjoy it, so go check it out. Mary,
just want to make sure we don't have any Rumble rants.
Nope, we're caught up.
Okay, we're all good.
There was one, but I don't think I can read it out loud.
Oh, yeah. Well, never mind. You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Couple more here. One from Straight Rippin 93 says, I like Toidles. And then Shane H. Wilder says, I still have 3 bags of Mary and 2 bags of Seamus coffee. I left a Mary bag on the counter and scared the S out of myself one night getting water. Yeah, that would be scary. Like seeing something like just a shadow of something in the corner of your eye when when you're like half asleep. That's the worst. Greg Duvier says, Mary, since Lent is over, has your Zins intake doubled?
More than doubled, I guarantee that. Yes. By far more than doubled. Yes.
All right. Did you do the outro? I'm so lost. You did the outro, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You know me, my scatterbrained. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see y'all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.